Okay, I just can't believe what I heard this weekend. Is it me, or did former President Barack Obama just try and flip the script on conservatives again? Listen to the former president spew some total linguistic garbage.
We don't have time to be wasting on these phony, trumped-up culture wars, this fake outrage that right-wing media peddles to juice their ratings. And the fact that he's willing to go along with it instead of talking about serious problems that actually affect serious people, that's a shame. That's not what this election's about. That's not what you need, Virginia.
Trumped up, fake, phony outrage. Is it me, or is the former president trying to do some serious damage control for the leftists running the country into the ground? I mean, I didn't know that raping a girl in the girls' bathroom of a Virginia high school will be considered trumped up outrage.
Our daughter was sexually assaulted in her high school bathroom by a boy wearing a skirt. We were notified that it was that our daughter had been beat up by a boy in the bathroom. And when we arrived at the school, we found out that that wasn't the case.
That was Scott Smith. That was the father. I'm outraged about all that. And Obama, you said it from Virginia, the same state that you are speaking from, campaigning for a governor wannabe who lies about everything that comes out of his mouth. And I didn't know that when the superintendent of that school of the alleged rape happening denied knowing the girl's attack even happened. Listen to this.
To my knowledge, we don't have any records of assaults occurring in our restrooms. We've heard it several times tonight from our public speakers, but the predator transgender student or person simply, it does not exist.
Now that's a lie. That's a direct lie. The police told us that's a direct lie. I didn't know that directly lying to the family of that poor girl and to the other parents in the county, and especially to the parents of a second girl allegedly raped by the same thuggish boy wearing a skirt in the school you simply moved him to instead of the school he was in. A couple of weeks later, by the way. Somehow that's trumped up outrage. I didn't know that calling parents who don't want their kids learning debunked theory on race that's more successful at dividing children than teaching children, calling those parents domestic terrorists. Somehow, a concerned parent is a domestic terrorist, and that is trumped up outrage. I didn't know that it wasn't okay to be upset about Fauci funding a lab that debarks beagle puppies and tortures them until they die.
But we recently got documents back from NIAID, Anthony Fauci's division, showing that he's funded a series of incredibly cruel and wasteful experiments on dogs. Most recently, the experiments we exposed involved a $1.68 million contract to inject dogs with experimental drugs. First, as you mentioned, they debark them. They do what's called a cordectomy, where they rip out their vocal cords so they can't bark and make noise in the lab. Then they injected them and force-fed them experimental drugs for a few months and then killed them.
But somehow that's trumped up outrage to be against that. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that being upset about these images of masks being taped to children's foreheads in order to perpetrate your left-wing mask tyranny was trumped up outrage. Or when you, Mr. Obama, while demanding we wear masks and calling others against science if we didn't wear a mask, despite that you partied like it's 1999, no masks. But that's somehow trumped up outrage again. And excuse me, Barack Obama, while you and your pals demanding we fire cops and fire firefighters for not taking Fauci's jab, the same folks who saved the country last year by risking their lives for the safety and security of regular Americans, for that, watch.
So I'm being escorted out of UCLA for standing up for medical freedom, despite coming to work.
You want to fire nurses, too? That was a nurse who was right here on that show. Right, our nurses who risk their own lives and health to save the lives of you and your liberal pals are getting fired, too. And somehow, I'm not really mad. It's simply some trumped-up outrage. No, trust me, I'm really mad about it, and so are a lot of Americans. Are you seriously saying this? And I had no idea that you would say that my disdain for that humiliation General Milley, who allowed the Taliban to pal up with ISIS, and the result was 13 dead American service members, would be trumped up outrage. And that clown taking to the airwaves to somehow say he did nothing wrong. Watch.
Were there others killed? Yes, there are others killed. Who they are, we don't know. We'll try to sort through all that. But we believe that the procedures at this point, I don't want to influence the outcome of an investigation, but at this point we think that the procedures were correctly followed and it was a righteous strike.
Righteous strike. By the way, that righteous strike, they didn't kill any terrorists in that righteous strike, only kids and innocent civilians. Trumped up outrage. While we're at it, I didn't realize that crime running rampant through American cities like this. Polo store. And this. Running through malls, stealing stuff. That's just Trump. That blood rising, the pressure rising, it's not real. It's just trumped up outrage. No, sir, no offense, but screw you, Obama, Biden, Fauci, the school boards, Merrick Garland, Pelosi, the snowflake generals, and the rest of you liberal leftists who are trying to steal our liberties and our freedoms for demanding control over anyone who doesn't fall in lockstep with your tyrannical, totalitarian demand for our capitulation. Screw you all for trying to change this great country, which is still a democratic republic as far as I can tell, and turning it into a liberal snowflake woke wasteland. And absolutely screw you, mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS. And yes, you too, Fox. You're doing your damnedest to provide support and cover for the liberals to make their dreams come true.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.